Hi, I am Gabriela Corbari dos Santos and I'm going to present the paper entitled Case Study of a Model that Evaluates the Learning Experience with DICTS. Kawan et al. Present that the term learning experience (LX) is a concept derived from user experience (UX). Thus, according to Huang et al., LX is a defining as the perceptions, responses, and the performance of learners to interactions with education technologies. LX with digital information and communication technologies (DICTs) can be evaluated and improved to different elements. LX elements refer to the components that guide the LX evaluation process, making it possible to verify various characteristics of the experience, including feelings and emotions and learning. In this way, the elements of LX can vary according to object of the evaluation, the type of artifact chosen, and the learning theory adapted. Huang et al. recommend the recommend that LXB evaluation taking into account the diversity of learners and their learning preference. In their study, Wang et al. Evaluation LX to the elements of LX, value usability, disability, adaptability, and comfortability. The Learner Experience Evaluation Model, o LEAM, evaluates LX with the use of DECTs. The LEAM has three evaluation stages: a pre-evaluation, a during evaluation, and a post-evaluation of LX. In each stage, different forms and elements of LX are used. With the three stages of evaluation, it is possible to continuously monitor and record the progress of LX. The full versions of Lean is available in the code located on the top right side of the screen. For the Lean evaluation stage, I've provided an example of a sentence with its respective word parts. This is, I prefer to work like this, with the word parts proactive versus theoretical, where a 5-point graduation is possible. For the during evaluation stage teacher of the Lean, I brought an example of a sentence with a 5-point Likert scale ranging from totally agree to totally disagree, as follows. I noticed that the student enjoyed assessing support material. For the during evaluation stage learner of the Lean, I provide an example sentence with a 90-point scale, ranging from totally sad to totally happy. How did you feel when looking for support material? For the post-evaluation stage of the LEAD, I have provided an example sentence. What was your contribution to the activities? Please comment. A case study approved by the Ethics Committee of the Federal University of Paraná was carried out. This study aims to evaluate LX and its possible improvements to the use of the link in a real context. With regard to the context of the study, the teacher was parsing vital, and after her reception and presentation of the study and the link was made to the learners. 23 learners from the computer science and biomedical informatics courses who are cursing software engineering at UFPR, and with the respective teacher of this course took part. The goal of the education active was to carry out a software development plan, beginning one, the preparation of a report, and two, its presentation. The study began with the presentation of the education activities to the learners, where they signed the information consent form, filing in the characterization questionnaire, and the completion the link for evaluation. The teacher then continued with the education activity, and when she had completed 15% of the activity, the Lean evaluation has completed. The educational activity has then continued. Has the learning completed the education activity, they filled in the Lean post-evaluation. The results of the pre-evaluation are shown at the ends with the word parts with were scored out of 5 points from 0 to 100. The highlight was the word pair act or react, where 11 learners answered 41 to 60 neutral responses, while for the word pair participative or shy, 12 learners answered 61 to 80 more shy responses. This showed that more than half of the learners considered themselves to be shy. In addition, these learners considered themselves to be neutral when it came to acting on the or reacting. For the learner evaluation results, we have the grouping of the 90 points of the SEN scale into 3 points. The highlight is question 1, where 4 learners answered set. On the other hand, 8 learners answered happy, meaning that they were feeling happy on the day of answering the checklist. Still, for the results of the learner evaluation, we have the learner responses using the Likert scale. It highlighted for question 10, two learners were not interested in looking for the others DECTS, apart from those suggested by teacher. Do you like to time or even because the DECTS suggested for the activity did not suit them in their interest. For the results of the during evaluation teacher, she didn't disagree with any sentence, and she totally agreed with the sentences in which she thought the DECTs were sufficient, adequate, efficient, and effectivity for the educational activity. For the post-evaluation results, we have two examples of them with the respective codes from the learner, where for the 10 general comments on the experience of the activity, learner patent sales. At the beginning of the educational activity, I wasn't very interested, I but as I learned from the materials available, my interest increased. We considered some limitations for the study, such as the noise in environment, the classroom, rarely has been used, and also that the veracity of the information depends directly on who is answering. In this study, we obtained different LX reports for the same educational activity, and that how to the preference reported by the student in the pre-evaluation was one. What happened during the educational activity had an impact on their experience, as reported by them in the post-evaluation. Fit work involves evaluating student and teacher reception of the use of Lean. We intend to carry out more studies considering a more variant sample and cover a wide range of academic backgrounds as real as varying the class schedules in the different degrees. We would like to collect more feedback from teachers by means of questionnaire or interviews to gather their perceptions and the effectiveness of the Lean and its practical applicability. These are the references used in this presentation. Thank you.